In this video, we are going to crochet a dishcloth, and I'm going to be using UK crochet terms. So UK crochet terms. What you will need, again, UK sizing for your hooks. You will need a 5, because we're going to start on a 5mm hook, and then for the main part of your work you're going to be using a 4.5. And the reason we have 2 is that we do our starting chain and our starting row in the larger size, and this applies whether you're doing a dishcloth or a blanket, whatever you are making. If you're working in rows, that gives you a little bit of maneuverability, because we tend to work quite tight on our first row. So you need your 5, your 4.5, and then I've got some craft cotton. So I've got just your regular dishcloth colour, if you will, which is a double knit. And then I'm also using a thinner cotton. You can see the difference. Just to add some colour. So it's up to you, whatever you're going to use. I'm going to use these in tandem together, so popping them together and making my slip knot to start my work. And then this is where my number 5 hook comes in, and to start with I'm going to chain 30. Now it does depend on your tension, so you need to do a little test first of all to see if that's going to be too long for you for your dishcloth, or you can do your washcloth, whatever you've chosen to make. So you want to do 30 to start with, okay? So I've worked a chain of 25 so far. I know from making these that I want to have them as 30, so I'm going to do another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as I say, you will test your tension to see if that's long enough for you. So then what we're going to do is we're going to work in doubles into this chain. So I'm going to avoid this chain because that's too near the hook. I'm going to go into the second one along, and I am going to make sure I have got both strands of my colour. So hook goes in, yarn round, so we've got 2 stitches, yarn round again and pull through those 2, and I'm going to continue that. This first row, I'm still in my number 5 hook, and I'm going to continue all the way along this chain until I get to the other end, just working a double crochet. So a hook goes in, making sure you've got all your strands, yarn round, come through, yarn over, pull that through, and you go down to 1. Now you can see there that my cotton just split, so I'm just going to take that back there to make sure the strands, if you're not happy with it, just pull it out. That's the thing with cotton, it does split, so just give it a little shimmy, and then we're going to go back in, yarn over, and then come through those 2. That's better. So I'm going to continue working double crochet all the way along my chain. So I have worked all my doubles, and I have got now 1 chain left to do here. So we need a double in this very last chain here. Sometimes it can be a bit hard to get through, so you might just give it a little wiggle. So that is my last double there. At this point I'm going to take my hook out and I'm going to turn my work, because if you're right-handed we go work from right to left in crochet, and I'm going to now replace that hook with my 4.5. So we've done the chain and the first row in a higher hook, and as I say, it doesn't matter if you're working in cotton or DK yarn or chunky. If I'm working in rows, I always do that, go up half a hook size. Now you can carry on doing doubles just doing rows of doubles, it's up to you, but I like to do a row of trebles to help my work grow. So to start there, I need to chain 2, so it's the same height as my treble. Then I'm going to work in this stitch here, so yarn goes round, I'm going to go through there, bring my yarn back through, so I've got 3 loops on my hook, yarn round, come through the first 2, yarn round, come through the last 2. So you can see that's a taller stitch. So yarn goes round underneath that V stitch, bring your yarn back through, so you've got 3 loops, yarn comes through the first 2 loops, yarn over the hook, and it comes through to take us back to 1 stitch. So this time I'm going to carry on working in all these spaces here, and when I teach crochet, I talk about the V stitches, so you can see that's a V stitch, that is exactly where you're putting your hook. So if you imagine that's my V stitch, my hook's going underneath each time, so that's my next working space, then that is my next working space, and so on until we go all the way along the row. So now work your row of trebles. So I have got all the way along now with my row of trebles. You can see why I chose to do a row of trebles now. It adds a bit of pattern doing alternative rows, and also adds a bit of height as well. So we need to turn our work again, and I'm going back to my row of doubles. So to start my row of doubles, I just need to chain 1, and then I can go back in and do my double stitch all the way along that row, and then I will go back to my trebles, and so on until you get the height that you would like for your dishcloth or your washcloth. So I tend to go as high as doing 9. Once I've done my 9th row of trebles, obviously with my doubles in between, that's where I tend to stop. But again, it's entirely up to you. The reason we're using 100% cotton is that we can pop it in our washing machine. So whether you're doing a dishcloth or a washcloth or cleaning cloth, you can pop it in your washing machine and it will regain its shape afterwards. It will retain its shape, and obviously will stand a hot wash and tumble dryer as well. So I will show you in the next section the height of my finished dishcloth. Here is my finished dishcloth. I have stopped on the 9th row of trebles there, so I'm going to just cast this off and pull that through. I'll tie in those ends later, and then just using the cream colour, I'm going to just edge my dishcloth. So back on my hook, and then I'm going to start in a corner here and join my edging colour, and then to do that I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to do a double, and then I'm going to chain 1 and do 2 more doubles. So that is my corner. Just make sure those ends are nice and tight, and then I'm just going to work round the edge doing a double crochet in all the spaces round. So I'm going to whiz across this. When I get to the other corner, I will then pop in there 2 doubles, 2 chains and 2 doubles, and the same in my other corners. So I'll meet you back here when I've gone round the border. That's my border now complete, and I'm just going to pop my hook in and do a slip stitch just to join it all together, so I can then snip snip off that part. So all I've got left to do now is just with my needle darn in those ends, but you can see that's my finished dishcloth, washcloth, cleaning cloth, whatever you want to use it for. I'm told they're very good for cleaning windows as well, which is good. Also good for picnics if you take like a water spritz bottle, or put it under cold water first of all and pop it in a lunch box, a reusable box. You've got a plastic free baby wipe to take with you on a picnic. So 100% cotton. Means it's plastic free, no nasty residues of plastic going into your water supply. You can wash these in your washing machine. My husband has an industrial washing machine as part of his professional laundry and dry cleaning business. So my dishcloths go in professional washing machines and tumble dryers, and they come up fine. They will retain the shape for you in the washing. Obviously the colors are going to fade a little bit, and you don't want to use bleach on them if you've used your colored cotton. So tell me in the comments if you make one of these, and if you've enjoyed this little tutorial, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because it really helps my channel grow. So hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you on the next video.